Hey everybody, and welcome back to Crochet Impossible. Today we are going to be tackling the Dubonnet, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Dubonnet Poncho. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, links are down below, and it's a very fun project. Look at it, it's super pretty. What you will need is a 5mm hook for the child size or a 6mm hook for the adults. I use a 6.5 and it turns out pretty good too. I mentioned before I love 6.5, it just really works well for me. You will need 2 skeins of kind of medium-sized yarn. I use the Red Heart Ombre and Anthracite, and I needed 2 of these. You will also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle, and you need to buy these buttons. So they recommend kind of like 1 inch or a little bit larger type of buttons, and they recommend glass. I just got these kind of like really pretty ones here, and they are kind of plastic, and they work pretty well, and they look really pretty. So I think it works fine. So those are all the things you need. Let's get into the tutorial so you can work on this and finish it with me. Hello, welcome to the tutorial. So let's start off right at the very beginning with the front collar. You are supposed to chain 41. So if you guys don't mind, let's get that out of the way and then we can continue on with our project. And there we have it, 41 chains. Now, row 1, we're going to single crochet into the second loop of our chain 41. So just a reminder, not this one, but this one. So single crochet here. Then once you're done that, you're going to single crochet 5 more times. That's 5. Once you're done this, you will single crochet in the next 6 and then 2 single crochets in the next. So you're just expanding, you're just adding more stitches. So 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then after this, remember, 2 single crochets here. So 1 and then 1 more in the same one. After that, you repeat the 6 crochets, single crochets across plus 2, and at the very end you do the last 5 chains with single crochets. So continue on, finishing this off with the 6. And you should end up with 45 single crochets. So I will meet you guys at the end of this row to start the next one. I am finished my row 1. We are now going to move on to row 2. So just be careful while you're moving row 2. You have to read this very carefully. So we're going to turn and we're going to chain 1 right now. Chain 1, and then while you're here, you're only going to be working in the front loops only. So if you guys remember, in a single crochet or whatever, you have 2 of these loops. We're only going to be using this one right here, just the front loops. So you chain 1, and then what you're going to do is you're going to slip stitch across. So chain 1, and then here, this one right here is your first stitch. So you're just going to slip stitch across. So just pull your yarn over and pull it through the loop. And you're supposed to do this the entire way through. And there you have it. So essentially, you're doing this here, and then you're leaving your loops here. These are the unfinished ones, and you'll actually use them for the next row. So finish this off, and then we'll move on to the next row together. And that is row 2. We are going to now turn, and we're going to work row 3. So for row 3, you're going to be working in the loops that you didn't use in the previous row. Alright, so how that looks is you've chained 1, so turn, chain 1, and if you look at your work, these here, these are the loops that you didn't use on the bottom here. So use those, and what you're going to do is you're going to work in the free loops, and you're going to single crochet in the first 7, and then 2 single crochets in the 8th. So you're just expanding this from 45 to 50. So, oops. This loop right here, you're going to single crochet, single crochet, single crochet here, single crochet here, single crochet here, and that's 5. Right here, that's 6. Right here, that's 7. And then for this one, you're going to put in 2. So 1 and 2. There you go. You're going to repeat it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 right here. 1 and 2. So that's essentially what you're doing. And what you're doing here is, you can see the previous slip stitches that you're doing is now kind of like bumped up. So there's like a little bit of texture now. Continue on to finish this, and then at the last 5 single crochets, just do single crochets for a total of 50. So this is 50. What you should have, if you were to flip it over, it's kind of like this raised part right down the middle. So a little bit closer, that's what that looks right there. So this is kind of raised, and that's where you're making right now. So this was your slip stitch row, and here is your 50 single crochet row for row 3. So 2 and 3 here. Those are those rows. Let's move on to row 4 now. So if you don't mind, turn please, and you are going to chain 1, and for row 4 you are going to single crochet in the first single crochet. So right here, right at the bottom of your chain, right there, single crochet. After that you are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, skip 2 here, and then single crochet in the next single crochet, like that. Now here is where it gets interesting. You're going to turn your work, and then looking back on your 3 chains before, you're going to single crochet into each chain. So your first chain, your second chain, and your third chain right here. 3 single crochets across like this. Alright, once you are done that, this is a cable. You're going to slip stitch into this one here. So you have 3 single crochets, 1 for each of the chains that you did. You're going to slip stitch here, and then you're going to turn again, and this time what you're going to be doing is you're going to be working behind the cable. So this is your cable here. You're going to be working behind it, and you're going to single crochet in the 2 skipped single crochets. So if you remember before, you skipped these 2. You're now going to be working behind this like so, exposing these 2, and you're going to single crochet in these 2. So single crochet here, single crochet there. Alright, that is 1 cable. Once you're done that, you're going to do this again. So let's work on this together, and we are going to chain 3, chain 3, skip the next 2. So be careful, you're back here, this here is not a chain, these 2 are. So skip these 2 and single crochet right there. Once you've done that, turn your work. You're going to single crochet back into your chains, and if your chains are really hard to get into, that's fine. I'm having big issues with them as well, but single crochet in each chain. So you should have 3 single crochets after chaining. I mean, if you're seeing kind of how I'm having issues with getting into my chains, maybe giving more kind of wiggle room when you're doing your chains might actually help. We'll see. So that's 3. Once you're done, slip stitch here, turn your work back. So this is your cable. You're going to be now working in these two here, the two single crochets that you skipped earlier, you're going to single crochet into the two of them. So I don't know if you can kind of see it, but essentially what you're doing is you make the cable, which is this little lumpy thing right here, and then this two single crochets in the back actually pushes it forward, so you're just kind of putting a lot of texture. Let's do it one more time. So you're going to chain 3 like that, skip the next two unworked single crochets, which are these two here. You're going to single crochet in this one here. Once you're done that, you turn and you work single crochets in each of these chains. So that's the first one. This one here is the second one. Oops, did I catch something? No, I'm good. And we have one more here. 3 single crochets for each chain. After that, slip, stitch here, turn your work back, and what you're going to be doing is you're going to be working in these two single crochets. So I like actually holding my work like this when I'm working these two, and just changing the direction of how I normally hold my work, just so that I can get into those two unworked single crochets more easily. And once you've done that, you can move it back to like this. So if you look from afar, it doesn't really, you can't really see what it is. I do have a piece of work here that I finished. So if you look here, so this was your slip stitch here, and these are your cables here. So essentially what you're doing, you're creating a lot of texture. And you need to do 16 of these across. And at the end of this row, you will have to single crochet in the last single crochet. So remember, you single crocheted here, you'll have to single crochet at the end as well. But I hope that helped. I will finish this row and I will meet you guys once I am done. I have finished all of my cables. So this is what it looks like right now. They look a little bit bunched up, but as you do more and more work, it'll just kind of even out. But this is what you should have. These here, these cables, and then your 2 single crochets in the back. And with this, we move on to row 5. Now for row 5, you are to just single crochet across for 50, but be really careful. If you read the instructions, there's a note that says, when you're doing this, and you flip over, you will chain 1, single crochet here, and then after, if you notice, every single cable, you have 2 single crochets. You need to do 3 in here, and it honestly really doesn't matter what you like, where you're gonna add 2. I just like adding 2 in the second one, like that. So that's what you're doing, and then this here, this is your next cable. These 2 are your next 2 single crochets. You're supposed to add 3 in there as well. Right, and then next cable here, add 3, and when you're done this, you should have a total of 50 single crochets going across. So just remember, every cable that you made, you're supposed to add 3 single crochets to the 2 that you put behind the cable. So really be careful about that, because you'll be running a couple of stitches short if you're not adding more. So just quickly, 3 behind each cable across, with 1 single crochet at the very beginning of the row and 1 single crochet at the very end of the row. Please be careful to not skip that important step, because you will regret it, because you will be dropping a lot of stitches. So I'm going to finish this off quickly, and I most likely just speed this up so that way we can get on to the next row. And that is row 5 up here. If you flip it over, you're just adding a little bit more kind of like distance between your cables and then just the flat surface, so you can actually see more of like kind of like the textures now. Obviously in real life it'll look a lot better. Right now the camera's not really catching a lot of like the detail and everything in here, but essentially you're just adding an extra row. So row 6 is a repeat of row 2. Essentially what you're doing is you're adding in slip stitches to your entire row across. So you chain 1, and then start working the front loops only and slip stitch. Now just be careful about this one here. Remember that row 2, when you were doing it, you were only doing 45 slip stitches. You are now at 50, so you will actually end up with 50. So don't drop any stitches. They just never wrote down the total stitches, but you're supposed to have 50 across. So I'm just going to quickly finish this, and I will meet you back for row 7. Onwards and upwards to row 7. So turn, chain 1, and you are going to be using the loops again that you didn't use before. Right now what you're going to be doing is you're going to be single crocheting 9 in the first 9 and then 2 in the next 1. You're going to do that 4 times and then single crochet in the last 10, so you should have a total of 54. So single crochet in the first 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 2 here for 10 and 11. This is a pretty simple step. You guys get it. Just end up with 54. I will meet you at the end of row 7. I am finished my row 7. If you were to flip it over, as you can see, this was your first kind of like raised ridge. This is your second raised ridge, and then all of your cables are in the middle like this. So that's what that looks like. If I can try to bring it up a little bit closer. Yeah, like that. So you're getting this done, and it looks really, really good so far. But we still have a couple of more rows to finish until we finish at least this top part anyways. So let's move on to the arrow pattern. So the arrow pattern is actually quite similar to your cables before. Let me show you. We're going to start off now. We are going to flip, chain 2, all right, chain 2, and then you are going to double crochet in the first stitch. So right here, double crochet, yarn over, double crochet. Once you're done this double crochet, you are going to skip the next 3. 1, 2, 3, treble crochet in this here. So treble crochet is 2 over, into here, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. If you don't know this, or you're not really familiar with double and treble crochet, I have a video with a link here that you guys can watch so that you guys can get yourself a little bit more familiarized with treble crochets. Working behind this treble crochet, we're going to be double crocheting in these 3 right here. So similar to what we were doing before. So instead of having 2 unworked, we have 3 unworked, and we're going to double crochet in this here. So remember how I said I like holding my work like this so I can get to it? This is also another place where that kind of hand position is really, really useful to get to the stitches. So double crochet, yarn over, go through the first unworked stitch, double crochet again, go to the second one, and then the third one, double crochet into the third and final. If you were to flip it back, this is what you have. You have the double crochets behind, but you have this nice little arrow pattern, or like the treble crochet in the front, like this. Once you're done this, you are going to continue to work on that. So we just finished 1 arrow pattern. Once you are done, we are going to go back. We're going to skip the next 3. So let's do a couple more together. Skip the next 3. You're going to treble crochet in the 4th here. So yarn over twice into here. Once you're done that, flip it to the side. Look for your 3 stitches. In this case, I have them 3 right here. Double crochet in the first. Double crochet in the second one, which is here. And finally, double crocheting in the third here. If we flip back, you'll have 2. let's do another one. So we are going to skip the next 3. So 1, 2, 3 here. This is the 4th, treble crochet in the 4th. Oops. Treble crochet. Once you're done, flip it to its side. Look for your 3 unworked. So 1, 2, 3. Double crochet in all 3 of them. So first one's here. Double crochet. And then to the next one, which is right here. Oops. Double crochet. And then the last one. Right here. Double crochet. Like that. We have some nice kind of textures happening. This is row 8. You're supposed to get 13 repeats of this and then just double crochet in the last stitch. So finish this off and then I'll kind of show you what it looks like and then we'll move on to row 9. And here's my completed row 8. As you can see, we have some really nice textures happening. There should be 13 across, and remember your double crochet here and your double crochet there. So row 9 will be very similar to row 8 if you guys have already had a chance to read what it's all about. We're going to chain 2. And then after that, we are going to double crochet in the first stitch here. Once you've done that, you're going to skip the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Treble crochet. And this one here. And then instead of working the back where you would work like this, you're going to work in the front here where you're going to work in front of it. So double crochet in these 3 unworked spaces. That's the second one right there. And then the last one right here. So essentially what you're doing is if you flip it around, you're making an arrow like that. It doesn't look really good right now because you only made 1, but let's do a couple more together. And then after you'll kind of see what I mean with the arrow pattern. So let's do this again. Next, 1, 2, 3. Skip those 3. Treble crochet into this one here. Like that. When you're done, you're going to double crochet into these 3 here. Careful, you see this one here? This one is actually already used. So careful that you don't reuse that one. And then one more here. Alright, so if we were to flip back now, yeah, you can see like a little bit more of like an arrow right here. Let's do one more together. So this one here is already used, so don't use that. 1, 2, 3. So this one here, treble crochet to the 4th. Once you're done this, you're going to work into these 3 here, double crochets. Alright, and let's quickly flip it over. Yeah, so these little arrows here, if you can see them like that, that's what you're creating. So finish this row off. You should also finish with the same amount of arrows as the previous row. So you know what, let's do one more together. So triple crochet into the 4th, and then double crochet into these 3 unworked stitches. I actually find that this row is a little bit more annoying than the previous row because it's just easier to flip the work to its side for the previous row, but this row doesn't really like to do that. So I'm having issues kind of like showing you an easier way of doing it, but essentially that's what you're getting here. Those. So finish this off and remember to double crochet at the very end, and then I'll meet you at the end of row 9. I am finished my 9th row. If you flip it over, yeah, there you go. You see kind of like the arrows. This is row 8. This is row 9. You kind of see it like that. Yeah, there you go. Look at all that really nice texture that you're getting from all of these rows that you're making. That is the end of row 9. Let us move on to row 10. Hallelujah! The next 2 rows are actually quite simple, which is really awesome. Just some single crochets. So let's get on with it. If you guys don't mind, let's continue on. We are going to flip our work. And right now we are going to chain 1. And then for this row here, you are going to be doing 10 single crochets across first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoop, 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 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one here, you're going to add 2 to make it 12 there. So you're going to continue on doing this. You're going to do 4 times, so 12 times 4 is 48. After that, you're going to single crochet in the next 9, and then single crochet in the top of the next one for a total of 58. So just remember, it is single crochet 10 across, and then 2 for the one after, for a total of 4 times. And then after that, you are going to do the last 9 and then a single crochet at the very end for 10, which gets you 58. So I'm going to finish this off, and then I'll meet you guys at the next row. And there is my row 10. You should have 58 single crochets across. Let's turn for row 11. So for row 11, you're going to chain 1 at the very beginning, chain 1, and then immediately you're going to single crochet in the first 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right there. After that, you're going to 2 single crochet in the next crochet, and then single crochet 15 times. And you're going to do this 3 times. So 2 in here, and then 15 across. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. After this, you will 2 single crochet 15, 2 single crochet 15 for a total of 3 times, and then single crochet for the last 5. This will get you 61 single crochets. So as with the last row, I'm going to finish this off, and I will meet you guys at the next row. That is my row 11. There is 61 single crochets on this. Let's move on to row 12. Row 12 is a repeat of row 2. So if you guys don't remember, row 2 is a chain 1, and then you're going to be working in the front loops of the previous row. Now remember, in row 2 it tells you 45, and row 12 it doesn't tell you how many, but you have 61, so you should end up with 61 slip stitches. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to leave you guys to that, since this is a pretty simple part of the pattern, and I will meet you guys back for the next row. And that is my 12th row. We are moving on to row 13, where you will be expanding. So instead of just going across and working in all of these free loops and just doing 61, you're going to be expanding to 65. So chain 1, and I've already done that, you're going to single crochet in all of the free loops 12 times, and then you are going to be adding an extra single crochet in the 13th loop, and you're going to be doing this 4 times. In the grand total is 65. So how many do I have right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 2 in this one. Alright, makes sense? Pretty simple. You're just doing that raised little thing here again, like the previous ones here. So, finish this off. I will meet you guys at row 14. I have turned my work, and as you can see here, that is 13. You should have 65 single crochets across using the free loops, and you are doing this here. As you guys probably have read forwards, we are going to be repeating rows 4 and 5 for a total of 21 cables. So we're doing this again here. So back here we had 16, we are now going to be doing 21. So I'll do a quick recap on how to do this, but essentially, hopefully you guys still remember how to do it. So chain 1, single crochet in the first single crochet right here. Once you're done that, you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. You're going to skip the next 2 unworked single crochets, 1, 2, single crochet into here. Once you're done your chain 3, you are going to turn your entire work, and if you remember, we are going to add single crochets into the chain 3s that we just did. So there is one right here. So single crochet once, and then look for your second chain. Single crochet second time, and then the third and final one. I find that the third one's always the easiest. The first one's always the hardest. But those are the 3 single crochets. Slip stitch into your next chain. Turn the entire work around again, and you're going to work behind, and you're going to work on these 2 right here. And you're going to be single crocheting here in each of the unworked single crochets, and that's your second one. And you turn back. There you go. There is your cable. Let's do one more together. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip the next 2 single crochets, single crochet in the one after. Come on. After that, you turn your entire work. You're going to single crochet in the chain 3s that you did previously. 1, 2, and your last one here, 3. Once you've done that, you're going to slip stitch there, turn your entire work around, and finding the 2 single crochets you didn't use, which is right here, you're going to single crochet in those 2. And that is 2 cables. So you need to have a grand total of 21 of these. So once you're done this, just remember you're supposed to have a single crochet at the very end. 21, and then single crochet at the very end. Keep on working on this. I will meet you guys once we are all done the 21. I am done my cables for this row. I'm going to move on to the next row. And you are going to chain one, and remember, this is the one where you're supposed to work in the 2 single crochets that you had from the previous one, and you're going to be doing kind of like 1 and 2, 1 and 2 all the way through, so 3 single crochets behind each cable. So chain 1, single crochet here in the first one, and then you have your first cable right here and your first 2 single crochets. So remember, whichever you decided to do, I did 1 and 2, I think. Editing Matthew will be able to figure that out. So once you've done that, skip to the next 2, put in 3 in here as well, all the way across, and just remember, right at the very end, you're supposed to put a single crochet in the last stitch of this entire row. So finish that off, and we'll move on to our final 2 rows of this pattern before we finish the 1/2 of the collar. And that is row 15 across. Flip it over, and we are going to finish this off, 16 and 17. So 16 and 17, if you guys read, is something you've already done before. You are going to chain 1 and slip stitch in all 65 single crochets across. So finish it off, and then we'll finish 17 together, and that will be your collar. And then we'll move on to creating the buttonholes and the flaps for the buttons. And lastly, row 17, chain 1, and then work in the free loops that you didn't use, and single crochet 65 times across. This is also really easy, so with the magic of editing, I am going to... So this, my friends, is 17 rows. We're going to move on to your buttonhole plackets, and the buttonhole plackets, you're going to be working across here. Do be careful. There are way more, if you count carefully, there are way more than 17 kind of like holes that you can put 17 single crochets into, but do count very carefully. I'm not going to really show you this just because I'm going to be troubleshooting myself, but essentially what you want to be doing is you want to make sure that, you know, when you get to, like, let's say the 9th single crochet, you want to kind of like be in the middle of your work, if that makes sense. This is 3 and this is 4, and let's go here. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is 9. So if you look, yeah, kind of in the middle right there. Finish off. I guess I'll show you since I'm already here. 10, 11, and let's put one here. 12, come on, 12, and there's a mess of things here. Let's see, put one here. 13, and then skip that mess. And let's put one in here. 14, 15, 16 in here, and 17. And that is row 1. We turn and we work on row 2. Firstly, we chain 1, and then we single crochet in the first 2 single crochets spots here. After that, we chain 2, skip 2, and then single crochet for the next 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oops, and 9. After this, you are going to chain 2 again, skip 2, and then single crochet in the last 2. And there you go. So you have a buttonhole here and a buttonhole here. One more row. Flip your work again, and we are going to chain 1. We are going to single crochet twice. Once here and once here. After that, we are going to add 2 single crochets in this chain 2 space, just so that we don't drop any stitches. After that, we go back and we have 9 here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We're back to this chain 2 space, 2 single crochets in here, and then single crochet all the way to the end, so 2 more. And that is row 3. Once you've done this, you're to fasten off. And for this one here, you don't really need it to be super long, just because you're just going to weave it into your work, so you hide it. So we're going to fasten off, and after that, you are to work on the other side here, and making sure that you get another button placket here. After that, you'll be done your front. And then I have actually conveniently made a back here. So that's kind of what you need. So finish this off, make another one of these for the back collar, and then you'll be done the collars. Once you're done this, we will sew the things together and you'll have done your collars.